Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Two Shores, One Story. I'm your host, Matthew, and today it is an exciting day because it is episode 50. Woo! It's very exciting. Unfortunately, I don't have anything exciting to talk about this week, but please don't let that affect you because soon we will have another guest. Maybe next week. So please stay tuned for that. But until then, I did do something this week. It wasn't exciting. As you know, I have been studying for the JLPT N1, the most difficult test. I have been doing this 3 times already. Last Sunday was my 3rd time. And oh boy, was it interesting. Why, you may ask? Well, let me tell you. First, unlike last year, around this time, I had to take, the N1 was at 9:10 a.m. Last time, it was 2 p.m., which is much better because we have to wake up really early to go to Gifu City, which takes about 2 hours. If you have ETC, it takes about 2 hours and 22 minutes if you don't have an ETC card. Luckily, I do. So my friend and I went there to take N1 and N5. His test was at 3:10 p.m. So the timing wasn't great for either of us. He had to wait for me to finish my test, and I had to wait for him to finish his test. And, I was feeling okay for this test. I studied. I've, studied for this test quite often, so I didn't really do a whole lot. I did 2 practice tests, one in paper, one on my app. If you're using Boom Pro, if you haven't heard of the Boom Pro, it's a shadow repetition system that is an app form, and maybe you can have it on your computer. I'm not too sure. I use it on my iPhone, and it's, you can pick which N you want to do. You can do N5 up to N1, and you can do grammar, vocab, and there's reading practice as well. And a new update that they started recently is you can actually practice real-looking tests, which is great because it's hard to find good practice tests that are quality. So I really like this one. And on that one, I passed the test. I understood the reading. I did pretty good. Both times I was good on time. But of course, that didn't happen when I took the test. What else? Before I start with the actual test stuff, I want to talk about the venue. Because usually I go, last time it was at Gifu University. This first time it was at a campus type, it was a school type environment. This one, the 3rd one, was at Gifu Bunka Center. And, I didn't really think anything of it. I thought, we would have our own classrooms. We have some in Takayama Bunka Hall, so I was thinking, yeah, it should be fine. No, it was not fine, because I go in, I see that everybody is in the same room, and it's literally one big area, divided between the A to U section. So I was like, oh crap, it's going to be so loud, everyone's going to cough, it's going to be terrible. But it was okay. So before entering, I scarfed down my onigiri to get some carbohydrates and energy because it is a long test. And I made my way to my section. I was in the A section. So I just, sat down, got my pencils out. And the nerves start happening because you're worried about getting shikaku, which is a penalty. And I've never gotten one, but you just got to be careful. So you do everything that they tell you to. So I'm watching, and they tell you, oh, put your coat below you under your chair. I'm like, okay, got that. And so just that kind of stuff. Then it started. The test, we've got our test 10, 12, or what was it, 9:30. We actually start writing the test. And so I start. Now, the test starts with vocab, then grammar, and then reading. And then the next test is listening. So usually what you would do is, do it in order, grammar or vocab, grammar, reading. But what I have done since I started the N1 and I have done continued is I start with the longest text first, and I chisel my way down that way, because the long reading takes more energy. So that's my strategy. If you're taking the N whatever, that's my strategy. I haven't passed with it yet, but it's a good strategy. Oh gosh. Yeah, so the first reading I read was about advertising, which is so interesting. And I thought I understood it, but I don't think I got the points there. The next one I read was, what was it about? I don't remember. I don't remember the exact order of everything, but I read that one. And then I think it was comparing A and B together. And A and B, A was talking about doing things that, the society tells us to do things, and also with social media and news, they're like, you got to do this, you have to do it. But the speaker, or A, was saying that it's important to do what you want to do, and B was saying something else. But they kind of said along the same lines, that it should be up to you what you want to do and what's practical for you. So I did that. I got both right there. Hooray. And then the last section was about dry cleaning, which is such an exciting topic. So at the end, the last reading section is a flyer or something. So you read what the person wants. So, and then you find the information. So I don't remember exactly what the information was. I think it was for this person's a first-time user of this dry cleaning, and they have 2 items that they want to dry clean. One was a coat, one was something else, and they want to know the price. So it's maybe a base price of $2,000 plus a percentage that they get as first-time users, but there was also shipping fees that they had to have. So I got that one right. And then the second one was, this person is a special type user, and they're in Tokyo, and they want to dry clean kimono and something else. So it would take 4 days for them, 4 extra days if they have a kimono, and maybe 5 days for their other items. So you just have to add what the days were. 9, good. That was great. So, I was feeling pretty good. I did, I got it. And then I'm going to the short passages. And the first one, I thought I had in the bag because it was linguistics focused, and I am a linguist. So I was so excited. It was about how babies differentiate or distinguish different sounds from other languages, and they will focus on sounds that are new to them because their brain's like, oh, I don't know what that is, and they're focusing on it. And then the second, if they know the language, then they're kind of like meh, but that changes. And I knew that, but I just was reading it and I couldn't find where in the section was the answer. So I did not get that one right, which is really sad for me. So that's embarrassing. It's, it's kind of interesting. The longer sections are actually easier to do because you get a lot more information and context, where, you're trying to read the smaller sections. And I like to find the answer in the text, but sometimes they're not even in the text. You just have to think about it, which, gosh, I struggled with that. So the issue was with what I had is I spent a lot of time on the long reading. So I didn't have a lot of time for grammar and vocab. Usually I give myself 60 minutes. I give myself a whole hour of reading, and then 50 minutes for grammar and vocab. So I'm reading, and there's just very difficult texts. I forget one of them, but it was about something about, you're reading a journal written by yourself, and you're seeing what I didn't understand it then, but I understand it now, is you're seeing a picture of yourself, and you're also writing a journal. And you see yourself in the picture, and you're like, whoa, So in the reading, it said that you feel as if that person's like a customer, or like it's someone you don't know, but yeah. So what I thought was that it's you, and you know it's you, but it's you also know that it's different from you. But that was not right. And so probably with that specific reading, I put my own assumptions in, which you should not do ever in the whatever test you're doing, because it's really what's written in the text. So I thought, oh yeah, like when I see a picture of myself, I know it's me, but it's also like not me. So I feel like a strange feeling. But no, that's not what it was. So I got that one wrong. And the bottom paragraph was about writing a journal. And I forget what I put down, but it wasn't right either. I haven't got the answers yet, but the answers have been put on a website. So I have a guesstimate of where I went wrong. I don't remember all the reading though, but one that I remember very vividly kind of was about a fish, or so I thought. It was actually about a cleaning shrimp. And that gave me so much grief. I just could not find the answer. It took way too much time to try and figure out what they were saying about this stupid shrimp. I did not understand it. So that caused me a lot of time loss. I spent maybe 10 extra minutes on that and just finishing the rest of the reading because I was on a time crunch. So I only had 40 minutes to do the grammar and vocab section. So I started with the vocab and, I finished it, and I'm looking at the clock and I'm trying to fill out as fast as I can. I do the grammar portion where it's just asking like for the grammar itself. But then it comes to the most difficult portion of the grammar, in my opinion, which is you get 4 lines and you have to figure out which word or which grammar goes in each line. And I did not have time to finish that section. So I just picked numbers. And my brain was going fast, but I don't think I did very well. But looking back at it, I maybe got 2 or 3 right. So good on me for doing that. And then the last section is you get a paragraph, and you get like blank or numbers, so 42 to whatever. And you have to pick 4 answers, between 4 answers for each section about, and it's like connectors or something that feels right. So it's really just vibes, and you can kind of get some hints, like if you see that the sentence before it and the sentence that it's in or the sentence after contradict, then you have to find a contradicting, I don't know what they're called in English, I forget. Frequency verb, maybe, or something like that. Transition verb, transition word. So that's like kind of what this is about. And I got a few right, but I didn't get enough right. It was very difficult. I finished with 2 minutes left, I think. So I went back to the line 1, and I looked at 1 and I tried to fix it because I didn't really have time to really register what I was doing. And I think I did okay in that one, but I don't remember. It was just awful. So after that test, I was like, I am in deep trouble. I did not feel good. I was very sad because I wanted to finish this test. I'm so sick of taking this N1 test. I'm tired of it. It's very time consuming. It doesn't cost that much to do, but over time it does. So I've spent $120 doing this test. It will soon be $170 or $190 when I'm done this test. If I don't pass, I don't think I will. Yeah, so I didn't feel great. I did not feel good. And then the listening happened. And listening is pretty easy for me, but I still had some trouble. There's one section where they say something, and then you have to pick 4 answers, or 3, maybe 4. And which one best summarizes what they're talking about. That one's so hard to do because you think it's something like, oh, it's tokucho, which means characteristics. So, I mean, one was talking about different teas and maybe characteristics, but that one wasn't said in the listening. So I was like, I don't know what to do. So you have to pick the best one. And that's so hard for me. Luckily, there was only 4 of those, but it's difficult. And then you have 11 in one section, you get 11 answers, questions, and you hear a reply, and then there's 3 answers. You don't hear a reply, sorry. You hear someone saying something, and then you hear 3 possible replies, and you have to pick the most appropriate one. And I love this one. I think it's funny because it's kind of easy to do once you figure out the tone or what they're trying to say. For example, you could say like, "Oh, yesterday I broke up with my girlfriend." And A would be, "Oh, great." B would be, "Oh, you're dating?" And C would be like, "Oh, I'm really sorry." So hearing that, you would think C is the right answer, which you would be right. Good for you. So it's like that. So it's really tone and just like listening to the content. So I like that one a lot. That one's fun. And then the other listening sections that I remember, the second last one is you hear 4 suggestions to something, and you kind of determine what is best by what the third person is saying. So like, we want to sell an item. What do we do? I think this one was about getting rid of stock better in a supermarket. For example, like expired stuff. So it was like giving a seal, posters, putting them to the front or something. So the answer that I think was the right one was seals. They want to put stickers on this stuff so that it's easier for people to determine that they're expiring, that kind of stuff. So that one was good. I felt good about that one. The last one is a bit hard because you have to hear, again, 4 options, but then there's 2 answers to it. So this one was about cruise stuff. So you had 4 different options for cruises, and I forget what they were, but I think they picked one that they wanted to do now, and then there was one later that they wanted to do. So I picked number 4, which was saying that it wasn't open yet, but they seemed interested. So it was maybe like a couple who was talking about it. And yeah, so that one, I don't know. And then I was done. Then I finished, and I was not happy. I was like, "Ah, crap, not again. I failed again." So yeah, I met my friend. We had lunch together, and then we split ways, and I went to a mall because I'm done and I want to celebrate. And I wanted to buy a futsal ball because I'm in futsal and I want to practice. So I went to the sports store and there was no futsal ball. That was great. So I didn't get that. And then I wanted winter boots because I don't have any. And it's kind of, it's fine not having boots, but it's also nice not having snow in my shoes when I go to work. So I found lots of boots, but they were really expensive. And I don't know if that's normal or not, but these were like $200. And I was shocked. So I did not get any boots. And I also wanted a vest. I don't know what you call it, like a puffer vest. Because I don't have one and I've never really liked one. But I was thinking, like it might be nice for me to try one because it seems a little bit fashionable. Or so I thought. And again, they were just too expensive. So I didn't get anything at the mall. And I was looking at the bookstore, which I don't need to do because I have a lot of books. But I was looking at the nurse section, and I was about to get some books about nursing, but I just don't need that because I'm not a nurse. Who knew? So I did not get that. Yeah. So it was a little bit of a waste of time. And my friend and I went home, and then that was it. It was really not an eventful day, unfortunately. But yeah, I was sad for a day, but then the next day, gotta continue. And it's a bit refreshing because I don't need to study for the N1 anymore, so I have a lot more time and I can do what I want to do. So, I was thinking there's my one friend here, he is very good at studying kanji, and he writes kanji. And I used to be like that way back in the day when I first started learning Japanese, but Actually, when I was a student at Nagoya, how long was that? Like 8 years ago, 9 years ago, maybe. I was really good at kanji, and that was my best thing out of all the other things. So speaking or grammar, reading, kanji, I think that was it. Kanji was my best. So during our spring break, we, studied, obviously, and then we could take a test in the spring to determine our placement for the upcoming classes. So I only spent time on kanji because I wanted to go to the next level. I didn't work on grammar. I didn't care about grammar. Also, the test was on my birthday, the placement test. So I only did kanji, which was in the morning, and then I left, which is kind of funny. I should have done the grammar to see what I was at, but I didn't care. I went home and I dyed my hair blue. That's what I did. But yeah, kanji. So I thought I would try to get better at writing my kanji because even though we don't write right now in this, in the age of technology, typing is what we do. But I think that writing kanji helps with recognition, and I need help with that. If I can understand the little parts that make up kanji, which are called bunshu or bushu, I think bushu, busho, bunshu. I don't know. Basically, if you think of kanji as a house, the parts that make up that kanji are the Lego, really. So there are pieces, kanji looks difficult, but then you divide it into little parts, and you can use those parts to make a story or something to remember that kanji's meaning, and that would help you memorize it or recognize it, sorry. So for example, what's a good example? Recently, I'm not learning any difficult kanji, but there is let's say early, what was it? Daybreak, maybe? Daybreak, I think. Or early, something like that. So it's divided into two parts. There's 9 and sun. So at 9 a.m., the sun is early, something like that. There's also another kanji with 3 suns, and that means sparkly. So you can think of something with, 3 suns as a sparkly, something like that. So you can use those little kanji, those Lego, to understand other kanji, memorize the meaning, make a story, and that's how you can memorize them. So that's my kind of goal, or what I'm doing right now, and it's kind of fun to do, just drawing and, exploring kanji again. And I also want to get better at speaking. We'll see how that goes, though. That might be a next year thing. For the remainder of this year, which is kind of crazy to say because it is December and we're almost done. 2025. 2026 is going to be a fun year, but 2025, yeah. So for the rest of 2025, I'm quite happy just doing kanji, learning kanji. I'm also excited to announce that I'm reviewing my Anki deck that I've made for a long time. I have been putting so many words and so many sentences in this Anki deck, but I have never reviewed it, which is very sad to say. I just don't find that much joy doing it. I find joy putting stuff in there. I don't find joy reviewing, but I need to do it every day. So even if it's like 5 minutes, it's still something. And I'm learning a little bit. And I'm reading. So I think I'll be finished my one book that I'm reading right now. It's called Karufuru, Colorful. Really interesting story. I don't know if that's for middle school students, but it is Japan. They read and see a lot of interesting things that I would never ever see. But basically, the story is that we have, I don't know, a character at the start, and he's talking to a guardian angel, and he's in the afterlife. This person's in the afterlife. Don't know what happened, but he or I don't know if it's he or she, but he did something wrong in his life. But he's given a chance to go back, and he has to go back into be another person and live their life. I don't know what happened. I don't really know what happens after that, but there's a set of rules and blah, blah, blah. So he goes into a third year middle school student who committed the S word. And yeah, it starts from there. The guardian angel shows or tells him a little bit about his family, what they do, why they aren't great, and maybe he's trying to figure out why this person, the person that he's living in, committed the S word. There's maybe different factors that happen. He meets people, that the person had feelings for maybe, and he also has, as this reborn, in quotation marks, person, he has someone else that he likes. And so the story kind of, is two-sided in a way, maybe that's the word, where he could live like the person, or he's living a different life. And we're kind of where I am right now, he's starting to, change a little bit in a way. For example, the person that maybe who was him actually maybe wasn't interested in going to school at all. His marks were not great, whatever, but this person that's in him wants to go to high school, which if you are a third year middle school student, that's your goal, is to go into high school. So you have to take exams. So he's talking to his homeroom teacher and he's like, I'm going to school. I'm going to do this. So, yeah, very interesting story. I'm not too sure what's going to happen right now, but I have read, I'm up to chapter 6, I believe, and it's been quite interesting. So I'm really liking it. It's a thought-provoking story for sure. And it reminds me of a Netflix show that I started last year, actually. My friend introduced it to me when he was here for Christmas, but I haven't watched it at all. And I forget, it's called Brush Up Life. So the person, basically it's about a woman, and she gets hit by a car and she goes to the afterlife. But she is able to, she is told that she would be reincarnated as an animal or something that she does not want to be. It's a really disgusting animal. But if she restarts her life and gets enough points or whatever, she can reincarnate into something nice. So I think it was an anteater or something. She didn't want to be that, so she decided to start over. And it's interesting because it's her. So it's not someone different. She knows what happened. So can make decisions knowing what happens in the future because she experienced it. And I haven't watched a whole lot, but I think maybe because of this book I'm reading right now, I should read it. It's kind of interesting. Yeah. So I'm reading a lot. So I have kanji, I have vocab, and I have reading, and that's really all I need to do right now. Just living in Japan right now is good enough. I can talk to people. I'm going to be talking to people a lot because I have some nomikais, drinking parties to attend. And yeah, that is it. I think that's really all that happened. N1 has just consumed me as it always does. And, it sucks that I did not get the result I wanted, but I don't know the actual results. They could have, it was a really difficult test. So I think they could improve or raise the marks of people that didn't do so well, like me. Maybe I could pass. We shall see. I don't know. I'll let you know in January when they release the results. But yeah, this was an interesting 50th episode, and I can't believe it's episode 50. It's almost been a year, since I restarted this. I don't want to say restarted, but I properly did the podcast. I started at the start of January. I posted my first episode in September of 2024, but then I was kind of, off. And then in January, I really, really did start. And I've been doing this pretty well, pretty often, every Wednesday. And it's been a really interesting experience. I've had fun conversations. I've really got to know some of my friends more. I hope you have also learned some things about Japan or anything, because that's really the goal of this podcast, is for listeners to learn something about Japan or the Japanese language or something cultural. That's my goal. And I guess it's also a good journal for me when I go back to Canada, or when I'm 50 years old and I want to remember what I did a random week. I can tune back in and see what I've done, and maybe I'll sound like a customer or something like that, but it will be me, and it can jog my memory. And that's the nice thing about doing a podcast, is it's a journal, and I'm literally sitting in my living room. I have no idea who's listening to this podcast. If you are listening to this podcast and you do want to be known, please follow my Instagram at Two Shores One Story. And I don't know, I'm such a bad post. I don't actually know. I think it's 2_ here, just let me check. I'm gonna check. My actual username is Two Shores _One Story, all lowercase. If you follow my Instagram, you can see the episode graphic. I make an episode graphic every week that represents the show, which is great. So you can see that. I release those at 2 p.m. every day, JST. And the episodes release 5 p.m. JST on Wednesdays. That's exciting. So if you are listening to this podcast, please leave a comment on this week's graphic. I would love to know who is listening. And until then, I hope you have a wonderful week. Stay healthy, because it is cold. It has snowed a little bit here, but there's so much sickness going around. So please take it easy when you can. Drink some tea, watch some Netflix, have a nice bath, that kind of stuff. And I will see you later.